All right, we want to show you these live images right now from Washington, D.C., where Senate confirmation hearings for Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court is underway.
President Biden selected Judge Jackson to replace outgoing Justice Stephen Breyer. Judge Jackson's currently serving on the U.S. Court of Appeals. Before that, she was a federal district court judge in Washington. She has worked as a federal public defender. Joining us now to discuss Judge Jackson and her confirmation is Barry McDonald. He's a professor at Pepperdine's Caruso School of Law. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. We're glad you're here. Now, if she's confirmed, we've talked a lot about this, Judge Jackson will become the first black woman to sit on the court. That's a historic thing in its own right. But what about Judge Jackson's judicial philosophy, and how is she different than the justice that she would be replacing, Stephen Breyer?
Well, I think they'd be pretty similar in a number of ways. Stephen Breyer has been, fairly liberal in his jurisprudence. And I think that even though he was fairly moderate on some issues, but for the mainstream social issues, such as equal protection or privacy rights, that sort of thing, he was fairly liberal. And I think we can expect the same thing from Judge Jackson, given her life experiences and career choices and so forth.
All right, there's so many issues to talk about, but one of them, late last year, the court heard arguments involving a Mississippi law that would ban abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. So that is 8 weeks before the current limit established by Roe v. Wade, which keeps states from banning abortions before 23 weeks. Now, court watchers say it appears the court's conservative 6-judge majority will uphold the Mississippi law, effectively overturning the rule set by Roe v. Wade. First, let's talk about what do we know about Judge Jackson's position on abortion, and if she does join the court's liberal minority, what impact can she have on future rulings on abortion?
Well, in terms of what we know, we don't know a lot because she spent most of her time on the in the federal courts as a district judge, and she didn't really have many significant abortion cases in front of her, and she's only been on the Court of Appeals for a very short time. So it's just hard to know, although, again, if she's replacing Justice Breyer, who's been fairly liberal on these issues, I think we can expect much of the same from Judge Jackson. In terms of her impact, right now the court, for the first time in history, is being controlled by a very solid 6-justice conservative majority, who, as you said, seems set to overturn Roe versus Wade. So I'm not sure, unless Judge Jackson can become an amazing coalition builder among justices, and that has happened in the past. Justice William Brennan was a very liberal justice, but he was known for his ability to build a majority coalition across the aisle. If she can do that, she could have a big impact. But right now, with the 6 justices in control being very conservative, it's going to be a very uphill challenge for her.
I think this is Judge Jackson's 4th confirmation hearing that she's going through right now. And in past hearings, she was able to get some of the Republican senators on the committee to vote for her. Do you think that happens this time, or is it going to be just party line?
I think there's going to be some fair-minded Republican senators that will vote for her, just like they did for her Court of Appeals nomination. Judge Jackson, is eminently qualified. And, I think you'd have to be looking at very political calculations to vote against her confirmation.
Okay, let's talk about this. Judge Jackson's connection to Harvard University is likely to draw some special scrutiny. She's expected to face calls that she recused herself in a case challenging Harvard's use of race as a factor in its undergraduate admissions. She attended Harvard Law, and she currently sits on the university's board of overseers. Now, could a potential conflict of interest like this really pose a serious roadblock to her nomination? What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, she may have to recuse herself when this case is heard by the court next term, but to my knowledge, that has never been a basis for failing to confirm a judge. The fact that they wouldn't be able to sit to hear one important case.
One of the interesting things about Judge Jackson's background is that she once worked as a federal public defender. This is a lawyer who is appointed on behalf of defendants who can't afford to have their own lawyer. So basically, she was a criminal defense lawyer. That's unique as a background for anyone on the Supreme Court. How do you think that affects this whole process?
Well, I think it's good because I think it gives the court more sort of diversity in terms of life experiences of the justices. Of course, you have a number of very conservative Republican senators like Josh Hawley and I believe Ted Cruz trying to sort of suggest that because Judge Jackson served as a public defender, she's going to be soft on crime. I think that sort of critique is misguided. Criminal defendants are entitled to, effective representation before the courts. And, lawyers have a duty to provide that. And so to suggest that just because you served as a public defender, you're going to be soft on crime, that's simply just trying to score political points. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of these Senate confirmations have devolved into, is just political theater, attempting to score political points in view of the upcoming elections, the midterm elections.
We appreciate your input and your insight. Thank you so much for that. Barry McDonald is a professor at Pepperdine's Caruso School of Law. Professor McDonald, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.